Welcome to yet another episode of Maveric Insights. This is a conversation series where we discuss about different innovations, ideas, and trends shaping the world of banking and financial services. I'm your host Sinjini, and today with me we have the CTO of Maveric Systems, Kishan Sundar. With 2 decades of experience in the BFSI and retail space, Kishan heads the technology strategy at Maverick. So let's just pick his brains and understand a little bit about this wide topic on AI's role in SDLC. Welcome, Kishan.
Thank you, Sinjini.
So, because you are widely published in media, and let me tell you that you are, to the others, that you are one of the people, one of the leaders who are very, very loved by the tech journalists. So, I am not going to be leaving you until we have discussed a very big topic today that's doing the media rounds. It's mostly to do about AI's inclusion in SDLC, right? So, the entire software lifecycle development. And why I brought this up is because, with the tech giants like Google, OpenAI, GitHub, we keep reading about them pushing their agenda on agentic AI, right? So it must really mean something, and it's really changing, bringing in a paradigm shift. So I wanted to understand from you to get a little overview on the different schools of thoughts of how we use AI and how it's really changing. Can you take us through that?
Sure. So let's quickly take a minute on 2 aspects, right? What are we developing? One, we are doing something new, which is a greenfield application, or we are adding a new feature to an existing application, which is what we call as a brownfield. So in the traditional development, what happens? So a new requirement comes, be it for the greenfield or be it for the brownfield. In the earlier days, the business systems manager would use to write a 90-page spec or a 30-page spec and give it to a business analyst to expand and work with the development team or the testing team. Fast forward Agile, the role from the business systems manager was taken over by a product manager. The product manager used to create an epic and used to write acceptance criteria, and then they used to have a helping hand in the name of proxy product managers who used to define acceptance criteria. Earlier it was in a plain English, then slowly moved to a gherkin or a BDD scenarios. From there onwards, the developers in the traditional world used to use one of the IDE. Earlier they used to write every word of the code. They had to remember the syntax and semantics. Come Visual Studio, IntelliSense was introduced, where most of the auto completion was happening. The syntax and semantics, the developers did not have a complete grip on because it was auto completed by the editor. They develop, and then the DevOps engineer used to take and build and deploy it. What's happening in the new world? In the new world, with the augment of AI, there are 3 schools of thoughts how AI can be used. One, using the extension of a low code or a no code and getting into a world where you want AI to do every aspect of it and leave the use it as a black box. You get what you want and you deploy what you wanted, and pray for the success of it working in production the way you want it. Or adopt a hybrid approach where you ideate and use AI to help you come up with the requirement on what you are ideating, as well as come up with some kind of a Figma design on the wireframe marks. Using that, pass on to the development team. Here the development team would approach it in a hybrid way, where they become a prompter and a curator for AI to generate the code. And that code generation will happen as per the designs standards as well as this high level design and the low level design set by an enterprise architect stroke solution architect. The guardrails will protect not to deviate from those standards. And then the developer now who is using or who is prompting the AI to generate the code or curate the code will become a reviewer or a manager of the AI agents to generate the code. Once that's generated, he will then approve the code, which gets checked in, and then a DevOps agent builds it, deploys it, and then we are building our own test agent, what we are calling as a Kiva. That agent will pick the requirement, would have already curated the test cases for you, test against what has been generated and deployed, and if it passes, the user story gets completed, whereas if it fails, an incident or a ticket gets again raised, for which the developer goes through the same cycle. So in essence, what we are now seeing is a developer who was an executioner of a task is now becoming a curator of the task and for the completeness of the task. So that's the shift which we are going through.
So that's mostly like, how with AI in the mix, SDLC will look like.
Exactly. So essentially that's what we are calling as a AI native SDLC, where AI becomes the brain, AI becomes the heart of every activity which happens within the whole life cycle, the software delivery life cycle. So you're not taking AI out on any aspect of it, be it from requirement, development, deployment, testing, and including monitoring the application.
So what I'm understanding is that obviously AI has moved far beyond, from just playing a supporting role to one of the main leading characters, which is actually shaping a lot of different things, right? It's pretty autonomous, learning different things. So in that scenario, obviously team structures, the way the roles used to be earlier, everything is going to be shifting. So can you tell us a little bit about what this really means? Because there's quite a bit of paranoia, everywhere because of this.
See, there is in which methodology you adopt is where the role mix might vary or might differ. Let's take for some time the hybrid approach which we are taking, which is AI native development, where since we work very much in a regulated environment and not in a startup world, we have taken this hybrid approach where we will use the AI to generate the code, AI to generate the test cases. We will use AI to generate the requirement, but we will be reviewing, we will be approving it, and we will be bringing the role in the loop. That is, you will have a business analyst or a product manager in the loop for requirement elaboration or a requirement elicitation. You will have a senior developer in the loop for the build and deployment. You will have a SDET in the loop for enabling your whole test automation. You will have a SRE engineer in the loop for your observability and maintainability from the run aspect of it. So essentially, if you heard me, there is role compressions, but instead of 8 different roles, now it is a 5 role who will be playing to complete the whole activity. It's not that you are shrinking it to an extreme. Whereas on the other aspect, which is where some of the startups or some of the new ideas are being ideated, it's altogether a different set of compression which is happening.
Okay, so tell me something. I'm reading a lot about this new term called vibe development. Vibe developers. Who are these vibe developers? Are our developers also in any way, capable of becoming a vibe developer? Is there something that they need to do additionally to become one? And what are the different things that will happen once you become a vibe developer?
Perfect. So including you and me can become a web developer. So anybody who can visualize, who can conceptualize using any of the tools like a Lovable or a augmented code can become a web developer. So the whole that web development, what you're talking, is a new year and a collaborative approach where a person who visualizes, who visualize an idea, who revision something what he wants to develop, can himself create a component or himself create a application in a iterative way, so that he gets what he wants at every aspect of the whole user journey which he is visualizing in. So here, any of us, in fact, the when I said someone should be creative, someone should be able to visualize, that's where all Mavericks would play a different or becomes a niche in this area, mainly because we understand domain. We have the domain width and we have the technology depth, which is what we call as a T-shaped, where we know the constraints and where we know the creativeness to come out in that constraints. With that creativeness, using any of the tool or the product which I just mentioned, you will be able to prompt, you will be able to curate the whole narration what you wanted to bring out to life. So in essence, all of us can become a web developer here, just by prompting and ideating and seeing that what you prompted, visualizing the outputs, you keep refactoring the prompts so that a proper code gets generated. And in fact, there are many of the products where where an application gets generated, even spins out an Angular code or a React code, but many of the backends would be a serverless architecture, so where it still becomes a black box. So it is good for a unregulated world, or it is good for a green field, and it is definitely good for where you want to see whether that idea really achieves the business value what it is supposed to do before you invest on. So for quick prototyping, you are seeing a lot of buzz around the web development.
So I think that makes it a lot more positive. I mean, this entire conversation, because what I'm understanding is there's a lot of hope rather than despair with AI coming into the mix, with, I probably AI augmenting what we are doing. And that's why you keep about AI augmenting human, whatever we are doing. Now, that also brings me fundamentally to this question that, we see 3 to 5 years as the shelf life of any technology nowadays. So according to you, what is going to be the shelf life of these kind of platforms and tools, and how fast can we learn? How fast can we learn these new things?
See, okay, again, it's no more a skill game, because as you rightly said, there is a change which is happening every 6 months. So with in the previous word also, one thing what a COBOL developer had to remember, what a .NET or a Java developer doesn't need to remember, was a syntax and semantics that was taken care by the IDEs. Now with AI, in fact, generating the logic as well as the code for you, you are more becoming an orchestrator. Essentially, you will not even need to get into the algorithm perspective. You need to provide a formal structured specification to a master agent, which will then utilize your a code generator agent, a requirement agent, your deployment agent, your test agent, to churn out its specific activity. So in essence, what you will end up doing is you becoming an orchestrator who will orchestrate all these agents to work in isolation, but use those artifacts, stitch it together, and then complete the activity what you are supposed to work on. In essence, though there will be a new stack, new technology coming every alternate quarters, but as long as your fundamentals is strong, as long as you know have a firm grip on the concepts as well as have a thorough understanding on creating a structured specification and a guardrails how the AI agent should work. You should have a longer shelf life. So the shelf life is for the tools and technology and not for you. So that's the change which we are going through. So you will have autonomous agents at some point of time, but it still needs the oversight, and that oversight is what you will end up providing.
I get it. So feels a lot more powerful, than I really thought. But
Yeah,
then
definitely.
again,
You will be
also,
more a reviewer rather than an executioner. So essentially, um, you don't have to ask your manager for a promotion because the technology has promoted you now. So all of you will become a lead or a peer reviewer rather than you writing and asking your seniors to review what you have generated. So that's the upskill which you need to go through, and that's where I was saying you need to have a firm grip on coming up with a structured specification, firm grip on the concept, firm hold on the design patterns and practices, because that's you should know which design pattern to implement when. So once you have a control or understanding over those, then you have to orchestrate these agents to work as per your instructions.
I'm making my notes. But as you are speaking, again, another fundamental question that I wanted to ask you is, of course, efficiency, right? Organizations that are using such tools and methods, they are talking about reporting back, saying that 90% increase has happened in their efficiency quotient. But what about quality? How are we guaranteeing quality and compliance and regulations?
For us, we always believe small is beautiful, and that's where we are always go with. We never played a number game. We always said we will have the right team to do the right activity. So the shrink is more happening from a traditional mindset where they wanted segregation of role and segregation of responsibilities and had people playing roles in isolation. Whereas in our case, we always demonstrated the boundaryless behavior, be it in terms of your skills or be it in terms of your roles and responsibility. With that, the shrink will be minimal for us because it's just that we'll learn adjacencies from what we were doing earlier. But in essence, we will exhibit more and more our domain depth as well as technical width to protect the guardrails so that what comes out of the AI comes as per the spec as well as per the regulatory needs. So in essence, when we went to a customer, we always said a good team is of a size 5, for a size 8, which is what we used to call a right size scrum team. Now we are talking in terms of quad, which is a team of 4 or a 5. So the efficiency what you end up getting is roughly around 30% with the native hybrid development, which adheres to the production quality and where we are confident that it is scalable, not only from horizontal, from vertical scaling also. When I say vertical scaling, if any banks gets into a new market, it is so loosely coupled, they don't need to redevelop it. They can easily configure and extend it for any new markets.
This is to understand that, for all the organizations who actually want to re-architect their SDLC with AI, what is that one big change you would recommend as the first step to doing this?
First and foremost, to unlearn. In fact, I'm just dropping off from a call where we were generally dialoguing. What are the 5 things which we need to start doing, and what are the 5 things which we need to stop doing as a part of becoming AI native developers? When I say AI native developers, it's just not developing AI agents, but using agents, AI agents, as a enabler for me to become much more efficient. What I first did was, for myself, coming up with a mindset that I know all is the first thing which I had to stop doing to embrace AI. Otherwise, I was always having a suspect on what AI does. So that's one learning for myself.
So what you're saying is that, one, obviously it's again another fundamental principle that you can't know it all. So obviously probably you're asking us to start from there, that stop thinking that you know it all, whatever you know.
Yeah, either I know it all or I...
Expert mindset.
Exactly, I know the best. So why, with that, you will start leveraging AI effectively. Otherwise, you will get into the whole bad habit of doing everything by myself. What did we do earlier? To speeden up things, I said I'll create a boilerplate or I create a template, and every developer should start adhering to the template or start adhering to the boilerplates. But is that the right approach, or is now you need to unlearn those and see how do I give it guidelines so that AI can be creative in creating what it has to create? Now, should I box on that creativity, or should I understand that creativity and then see, is this the best, and should that design be applied elsewhere? Should I refactor the other code, or should I refactor this code? So you guys need to start asking these questions, and to ask these questions, which are the 5 things which you should start, and which are the 5 things you should stop. If you can come up with a to-do list, you're up there.
Thank you, Kishan, for taking time and being a part of this podcast. Thank you so much. And if I have to summarize the whole thing in terms of my key takeaway from this entire conversation, was that AI really doesn't replace us, but it only augments us and amplifies our skills only if we are willing to adapt. Thank you so much.